Looks like I need a haircut. Nah, that didn't work. Much better. Let's start the video. Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to the video.
It's Adam.
And Paula. And here I am just giving you guys a quick physique update. Right here I'm weighing about 167, 168 pounds. I did compete a few months ago in October and I weighed 166 pounds. So I'm up like about 2 pounds from when I competed, and as you can see I'm still pretty lean. I'm not as shredded as I was. By my standards I actually feel a little fat, but I really can't be complaining with the way I look now. So I did want to just give you a little update. I'm also very pale. So between being pale and just a little bloated, I don't look as good as I did when I competed, but just to be walking around, this is a fine level of body fat for me, and I feel fine. So one of the most common questions I get from people is whether they should bulk or they should cut. And although it sounds like a simple question with a simple answer, it's a little bit more complicated than you should bulk or you should cut. The most important thing that you have to really take into account is your goal. Now, if your goal is, like most people, to gain muscle and lose fat, you need to be realistic with yourself and know that you're not going to be doing both of those at the same time. So you do need to decide which one you need to do first, bulk or cut. Now, if you don't have any muscle, then the logical solution, yeah, if you just see me jumping there, I got a little excited. The logical solution would be to bulk first, gain the muscle, and then shed the fat away and reveal the muscle. But it sounds better in theory than it actually might work, because if you're already kind of fat, I don't really recommend getting on a bulk right away. Before I just get into that, Paul was struggling a little bit here with the bench. It was actually 2 degrees today and the gym was freezing. Both of us had a lot of trouble staying warm, and we were both kind of tight, which kind of affected the workout. Here she supersets pull-ups and bench as I'm doing the same thing. So anyway, back to bulking and cutting. If you don't have any muscle, you should probably bulk. However, this is a big however, I do not recommend bulking if you are at an unhealthy body fat percentage. Now, what's an unhealthy body fat percentage? I look at unhealthy body fat in 2 ways. It could be mentally unhealthy and physically unhealthy. Now, physically unhealthy is when you're like 25-30% body fat. No one at that level of body fat should be bulking no matter what. At that point, you need to cut. You need to get down to at least 15%, maybe lower, before we even consider bulking. But then the more tricky one is mentally healthy body fat, and that varies from person to person. What I mean by that is if you're not comfortable taking your shirt off at the beach, you're just very self-conscious, that level of body fat varies from person to person. Some people are self-conscious at 12%, and some people might be self-conscious at like 17%. So you shouldn't bulk until you're at a body fat where you're comfortable with, because if you're, for example, 15% body fat and you're already very self-conscious and you're not comfortable with yourself, getting into a caloric surplus to gain muscle is going to also lead to fat. So if you're already a little fat, adding more fat is just going to make you feel worse about yourself. So at that point, what I recommend you do is get down from 15%, maybe down to 10, 12%, even if you don't have that much muscle, just to get to a place where you're comfortable, and then start increasing the calories slowly, try to gain weight, and this way, when you do add some fat, you're not adding fat above an amount that was already unacceptable to you. So that's where I stand with that. In terms of my plans right now, I'm not really bulking or cutting. I'm just trying to stay as lean as possible while gaining strength. It is possible to get stronger without gaining weight. I have proven that it's possible, because I'm no heavier really right now than I was when I started this 5-3-1 routine back in May, and my strength has gone up a lot on my lifts. For example, my squat, when I tested my 1 rep max before I began, I only got 325 for 1, and now if you've been watching my videos, you'll see that I've been able to squat more than 325 for way more than 1 rep. So I have gotten stronger despite staying lean and despite my weight not going up. So that really is my goal, because from what I've gathered, I'm at a point in my lifting career where I can only gain a couple of pounds of muscle per year anyway, and I'm nowhere close to my strength potential. So I'm better off putting in more efforts to get stronger, because those results are going to be paying off a lot more for the effort I'm putting in, rather than trying to gain extra muscle and only be gaining like 1 to 2 pounds. So I'd rather focus on strength at this point, make sure my lifts get higher, and then after that, if I really want to focus on size, I could maybe change up to that. But that's where I stand right now. Um, Now, after my show, the way I stayed lean, because I know a lot of people are questioning how can you stay so lean year round. What I did was reverse diet, and if you don't know what a reverse diet is, in simple terms, it's basically at the end of your dieting phase, it's increasing your calories very slowly to a point where you get your calories to a level that you're satisfied with. So, what I did, I ended my diet about like 2,200 calories, and the whole idea is you increase so slowly that your body doesn't even realize that it's eating more. So 1 week maybe you're only eating 50 calories more, and 50 calories, your body's not going to even notice 50 calories. You do that again, as I'm beating my chest like King Kong, you do that the next week, it's 100 calories. Again, your body doesn't really notice that. However, 50 calories week after week, it turns into several hundred calories, and by doing that, I increased my calories almost 1,000, pretty much tricking my body into not realizing I was increasing my calories. And before you know it, I was maintaining my weight on a lot more calories. And that's what reverse dieting really is. And I will actually discuss reverse dieting more in the future, but that's what I mean when I say reverse dieting. And now I'm going to let Paul talk about her reverse diet and what she did earlier this year.
Basically, my reverse diet was kind of a failure. Let me start with that. For about a year or so, all I did was maintain, and that was the shy phase that I call, where I was using the machines, where I wasn't really squatting or deadlifting. It was mostly machines and cardio, and then eventually I decided to just like start lifting, squat, deadlift. Recently I tried the bench, and then when I decided to actually start squatting and deadlift, I also a couple months later I decided to cut for the summer. Not really for the summer, I actually started cutting at the beginning of June. That cut went very well. I dropped about 9 to 10 pounds in about 3 months. I started cutting at the beginning of June, and I ended up my cut at the second week of September, so a little bit over 3 months. I felt great. Keep in mind, I don't compete. I'm not exactly interested in competing, so my cut wasn't targeted towards getting shredded or anything like that. I just wanted to get to a lower body fat where I felt comfortable with my body, and I really like how I was looking.
And just to pause there just for a second, you're about to see I'm doing pendlay rows, and in real time I'm showing you the time that I rested between pendlay rows and overhead press. And I did do 3 sets of pendlay rows, 5 sets overhead press, supersetted, and you can see here how long I waited in between those sets. And now I'll let Paula get back to her story.
And close parentheses on that. So basically by the end of the summer I was incredibly comfortable how I was looking. As I said before, I am not trying to compete, I'm not trying to get shredded or anything like that. So at the end of the summer, I realized I was eating not so much, but I wasn't eating very little either. I was still able to go out to eat with Adam, get some froyo, indulge in some chocolate every once in a while. So it was pretty good. I really liked it.
Moe's, but not Chipotle.
Yes, Moe's, not Chipotle. You should watch that video also. So I decided, let's go. I want to reverse diet because I do want to, gain muscle, also recover my strength, because my last month of cutting was awfully painful. I was not able to lift. It was a disaster in the lifting terms. I was still able to squat and deadlift, but just not as heavy as I was able to do it before. I was losing strength. So I said, let's go reverse diet and everything. So I started increasing calories, and I started gaining a little bit. I was like, nothing to worry about. We'll just continue doing this, and I kept on increasing, and then eventually my weight just spiked up too much, and I said, you know what, let's just stop the reverse diet for a moment. Then we picked it up again, and basically my weight just went up to the 130s. And if you look at it in terms of
And
reverse
she was
diet, it was
118 at the end of her cut.
correct. I was 118 at the end of my cut. So if you look at it in terms of reverse diet, yes, it was a failure. But if you look in terms of a bulk, I guess it was not bad. It was like a successful mini bulk. So right now my strength went up, everything went up, like my shoulder press, my deadlift, my squat, my pendlay rows. Now I'm doing 85 pounds. So right now what I'm planning to do is that at the beginning of March I'm going to start cutting. I don't want to go too low on my food. I don't want to be starving all the time. But I want to cut, and I want to go back to what I was looking and see what kind of muscle progress I made. And also I'm gonna try to keep the strength and make sure that I don't lose the strength that I already gained.
And now the reason we say it was a failure, I mean, it wasn't a failure, but she's comparing it to mine, which my reverse diet was probably the best case that you could hope for. I got my calories up almost 1,000, and I literally gained 0 pounds. So, I mean, obviously we were hoping something similar to her, and not only did she gain some weight, but she didn't get her calories as high as we were hoping. So,
Right.
I mean, it was a learning experience. I attribute that partly because I've actually reverse dieted 3 times before. I think my body's a little more accustomed to it. I kind of knew what to expect for my body type, whereas we weren't completely sure what to expect for her. So this time around, I think it will go better, but it wasn't a failure because, I mean, she gained a lot of strength. She definitely put on muscle. I mean, as you can see in these videos, her deadlift is skyrocketed, her squats are going up, shoulder press is going up. So, I mean, I have no doubt that she added muscle. So she will be satisfied when she cuts. And like she said, we are going to go over, once we map out the plan for her, calories and adjustments, we're going to share that with you guys, and we'll take you on the journey.
So basically, I learned how my body works for now. So I've learned to know what works for me and what doesn't work.
And it's an important lesson to not get discouraged, but look at this as a lifelong journey. You learn things along the way, and if something doesn't work, you change it for the next time until you find out what does work. And just as we talk about macros, in the previous video I talked about how a lot of people, they stagnate because they do not write their workouts down, and they don't progress over time, and they're on a quick road to nowhere. So in addition to being in addition to tracking your workouts in a notebook, the other thing you really need to be tracking is your macros. Now you can do that with an app like MyFitnessPal on your phone. There's other apps. We prefer MyFitnessPal. I like it because it has a big food database, but I mean, you can write it down. Doesn't really matter how you do it, but it's very important to track your macros, because just like tracking the weights in the gym, if you don't know how much you're eating, you don't know how much to add or subtract to gain or lose weight. And before I finish that, Paula's trying here the 30-pound dumbbells. She's never tried those before. It didn't go that well. She was able to get one, but she was kind of scared. I think she had more in her, but we'll try that again in the future. But anyway, about macros, it's very important to be tracking where you're eating, because like I said, if your goal is to lose weight and you have no idea where you're eating now, well, how do you know how much to eat to lose weight? You need to have a starting point. And same with gaining weight. If you're not gaining weight, or you're gaining too much weight, you don't really know how to adjust it for your body to make those changes. So the 2 things you really need to be doing are tracking your macros and tracking your weight. And until you do those 2 things, other things don't really matter. I mean, those 2 things alone are going to make up about 90% of your potential progress in the gym. So we will go into more detail about Paula's diet in another video. We will go into more detail about how to figure out your macros. We'll also go into more detail on reverse dieting, but I did want to just give you a quick overview of some of those topics. Here I am finishing up with forearms, and Paula is about to finish up with some cardio, as well as I did too.
And also, my cardio never got over 25 minutes. So if you guys like this video, please go ahead, like it, subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you next time.
When you're at a red light next to your girlfriend,